Should you send your narcissistic parent a goodbye letter when you decide to go no contact with them? Hey there, my name's Adriana with Let's Get Your Shift Together. I am a certified trauma informed life coach empowering survivors of narcissistic abuse to heal, set boundaries, and live life on their own terms. Don't forget to like and hit the subscribe button, and feel free to share this video with anyone that you think would benefit from watching. So today's video is all about that no contact letter, whether or not you should send it. I'm going to give you my opinion on whether or not I think you should send it or not. And then make sure you stick around to the end because I will let you know what you can expect from a narcissistic parent if you do decide to send that letter or if you don't decide to send that letter. I'm not going to tell you whether or not to do it or not. Like, that is your choice. I'm simply going to share my opinion and what you can expect. So before I ramble on too much, let's jump right into the topic. So, should you send your narcissistic parent that letter? You want them to know how their raising of you has like really negatively affected your life. You want them to understand how much pain you have been through. And sometimes survivors do send this letter, sometimes they don't. Should you or shouldn't you? In my opinion, you should not, because if you think about it, it's supply for your narcissistic parent. And if you are dealing with a narcissistic parent, they already know what they did to you. They just don't care. They just want to keep gaining supply from you. So if you do go ahead and send them that letter, they're probably going to throw it back in your face, or they're going to show it to other people and make fun of you behind your back. Like, you are not dealing with a normal, rational, healthy person when you're dealing with a narcissist. And that is very true, even if the narcissist in your life is one of your parents, whether it's your mother or your father. Their main goal is to gain supply from you at the end of the day. So the main question to ask yourself about this letter: do you want to send them this letter? And why do you want to send them this letter? What is your intention behind sending them this, like the long email detailing the abuse that you went through, or, whatever it is? Are you expecting a coming to God moment from your narcissistic parent where they're going to take ownership of everything and apologize and actually change their behavior? Are you expecting that they're going to, like, what is the expectation, right? So a lot of the times we do cling on to that false hope that the narcissist is a reasonable, normal person and they are going to have a decent reaction to whatever it is that you're trying to get through to them. And if you are at the point right now where you're ready to go no contact with your narcissistic parent, that's not for no reason. Okay. You didn't decide this willy-nilly for no reason because you had nothing better to do on a random Tuesday. You decided that you want to go no contact with your narcissistic parent because there has been a pattern of abuse over your entire life. And now you're seeing it, you're aware of it, you're watching it play out in real time, and you are done. You are absolutely done with this crap. You've probably already tried to get accountability from them. You've probably already tried to have these conversations with them, and it's gone absolutely nowhere. So ask yourself, why do you think that them having a letter from you detailing everything that you've probably already talked about anyways, what difference is that going to make? It's going to make absolutely no difference whatsoever. With narcissists, you are damned if you do, you are damned if you don't. So if you do decide to go ahead and write out this long letter, you poured your heart and soul into it, be prepared for disappointment. Your narcissistic parent will react in one of three ways: love bomb, devalue, or discard. Okay. So if they are going to love bomb you, and this is like universal for narcissists in general, every reaction they're going to have to you is going to be one part of the cycle of abuse. It's either going to be love bomb, devalue, or discard. There's really no room for them being rational, because at the end of the day, all they want is to gain supply from their targets. And narcissistic parents are absolutely no exception to this. So if you decide to go ahead and send them that letter, they might love bomb you. And that can look like them apologizing, telling you everything that you want to hear. Essentially, what love bombing is a narcissist's way of gaining your trust. So, obviously, if you're going no contact and they feel like they might be able to gain your trust back by love bombing you, that is what they will do. So, they might apologize. They might say, let's be one big happy family. I'll take care of the grandkids. I'm going to be a better mother. I'm going to make up for everything that you missed out on in your childhood. I totally understand, blah, blah, blah. It's probably not even going to come out as rationally as that, but it's going to be something along those lines. And the whole purpose of that is for them to gain your trust so that you can start believing that maybe they are telling the truth. And the thing with narcissists is that as soon as they're satisfied that they've hooked you right back in with that love bombing and that they've gained your trust again, that's when the bullshit starts happening again. So the devaluation will start, the whole cycle of abuse will start over. You're going to be regretting the fact that you even sent this letter and that you even believed your narcissistic parents' lies. And it's just a really great way to set yourself up for disappointment if you go ahead and send that letter. Now, the other way that they could react is by devaluing you. So they might respond to the letter and say they have no idea what they ever did wrong. They're crying all the time. How could you do this to me? Look at all this pain you're causing to your mother. I really had no idea, blah, blah, blah. So they'll just like deflect, deny, and like in a very backhanded way, sort of like put the responsibility onto you. And they might even say something like, oh, I didn't realize I was such a horrible parent. You know, like we made your childhood so terrible. Like they'll just maybe even be passive aggressive like that. And of course, the whole purpose of devaluation is to trigger you and to get you in that bamboozled state where you're confused, you're walking on eggshells, you're in a state of either guilt, shame, or fear. And the reason that narcissists love to put their targets in this state is because someone who is in this state is much easier to control than somebody who is well aware of their emotional world. They're well aware of what's going on and they cannot be swayed by the other person's opinion because they can see right through the nonsense. The third way that you can expect your narcissistic parent to react to sending them this no contact letter is discard. So they might not even acknowledge it and they will never talk to you again or something like that. Or they'll just pretend that they never received it. And then months later, they will love bomb you and swoop right back in, pretend as if absolutely nothing ever happened, that they never received that letter. But you can guarantee they are probably talking behind your back about that letter. Okay. And the thing that's going to be happening behind your back, if you do send this letter, is the smear campaign will happen. So if there's other relatives that are aware of the situation, or even if they're not aware of the situation, they will be made aware of the situation from your narcissistic parents' lens. And they're going to have your letter that they can show to people and basically say like, oh, look at all of these lies. Can you believe that my son or daughter or adult child said all this stuff? Like, it's just going to be a whole thing. And so the love bomb, devalue, discard reactions can vary. It really depends on your specific situation, but that's pretty much the gist of what's going to happen if you do go ahead and send that letter. Now, if you decide not to send that letter, they can do the exact same thing. Okay? So it makes no difference. So if you go no contact, you don't have to announce it. You don't have to tell them. You could start off with low contact and like slowly build your way up to no contact. It's totally up to you. It's really up to how much of their bullshit you're willing to tolerate. And it's really going to depend on how exhausted you are, right? How tired are you of the same cycle repeating over and over and over again? That's for you to determine because it is never going to change. Even if you think it's going to change, you will very shortly thereafter be hit in the face with reality that nothing is going to change. And you've been through this pattern enough times already. So whatever you decide to do, whether it's full no contact or low contact that builds into no contact eventually, all good. If you can't do either right now for whatever circumstances, gray rock is going to be your best bet, but you're obviously not going to write them a letter that you're gray rocking them. So just to stick to the point of this video, what happens if you don't send them the letter? Well, they could do the exact same thing. So they might love bomb you and contact you whenever and just basically tell you that, like, oh, what did I do wrong? I noticed you're not talking to me. I can change. Let's fix things. I just want you to be happy, blah, blah, blah. Whatever you want to hear is what they're going to say. Or they might devalue you and the exact same the exact same reaction, except this time they don't have a letter to go on, but they know exactly what happened. But they're gonna say the exact same thing. They'll devalue you and they'll say, like, oh, I don't understand what I did wrong. You're punishing us, you're this, you're that, whatever, like you're giving us the silent treatment, this, that, and the other. They're just gonna make up whatever they can to feel better about themselves and the fact that they abused you, but they won't self-reflect and even acknowledge it. Or they will discard you and just not even acknowledge your presence. So that is pretty much what will happen if you send the letter or don't send the letter. It really makes no difference, and it really is up to you at the end of the day. And I know that basically everything I probably told you would probably deter you from sending that letter. And if it has, that's great, because you really don't need to put yourself through that. If you do go ahead and send it, that's your choice, right? You know what to expect, you know what to be prepared for at the end of the day. But what do you do when you have all this stuff that you want to get off of your chest and you don't know what to do with those emotions? The best thing that you can do is write the letter out, uncensored, with no filter, and don't send it to them. Okay? There is an entire section, a subreddit called Unsent Letters. You could submit it to that anonymously if you wanted to. You can write out the letter, burn it, and or rip it up if you can't safely burn it. Or you can just email it to yourself to remind yourself why you went no contact to begin with. But you don't need to send it to your narcissistic parent because it's just going to open up the door for communication, for them to continue abusing you, for them to continue perpetuating that cycle of abuse, which they're going to do anyways, regardless. And it's just really important to ask yourself what your intention on sending that letter is, because it's not going to give you the result that you want it to give you because you are not dealing with a normal, healthy, rational person. So it's better to just write the letter, get everything off of your chest. You would be surprised, even if no one ever reads that letter. Getting that off of your chest, out of your brain, onto the paper, and then destroying it after, you would be surprised at how much mental noise you can untangle. And that's going to help you to sort of drop all those thoughts, process the emotion, and then you can move forward and you can just live your life no contact. This doesn't mean that your life is going to be super easy, no contact with your parents, but it's going to be a lot easier than dealing with the drama. I hope that this video has been helpful. I would like to also let you know that I have a free masterclass that is linked in the description here, specifically curated for survivors of narcissistic abuse, about the 3 mistakes for you to avoid when you are setting boundaries with a narcissistic abuser. A lot of the content and information out there only applies to boundaries with healthy people. And you may have noticed that if you've used that advice, the boundary setting hasn't really gone that well. And that's because you're not using the correct advice. So check out my freebie. It is super jam-packed, 45 minutes plus long of just knowledge and information on what to avoid when you're setting boundaries with a narcissist and how to go about it in a much better way that will help you to sort of keep your sanity intact and not get bamboozled and caught off guard when they throw their manipulation tactics at you. And just a quick note on another awesome offering that I just came up with recently. I have a brand new growing community membership specifically for survivors of narcissistic abuse. So it's basically its own community app. It starts at only $22 per month. So there are different tiers to choose from, different options and levels of support to choose from. And everyone gets access to the community and a growing community of survivors where you can connect, make new friends, and get access to all of my course content and all that fun stuff right from the convenience of your own pocket. It's literally like having me as your life coach in your pocket because it's all on an app. There's live events. It's super awesome. I would encourage you to check it out. I've linked it in the description as well. If anyone is interested in joining, you can join today and get instant access to the community, and you can cancel anytime. So that's it for today's video. Feel free to comment on what your biggest takeaway was from today's video. If you learned something new, if you know any other survivors of narcissistic abuse who are struggling with setting boundaries with their parents, or struggling with no contact and humming and hawing over whether they should write that letter or not, shoot them the link to this video. I think it'll be super helpful for them. See you in the next video. Bye.